Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Angular Space TV. Another great live stream awaits us today. We are going to talk about my very. Oh, why am I saying very? We're going to talk about my most favorite topic in Angular. We're going to talk about dependency injection, which is something that everyone thinks they know, but usually when you dig a bit deeper, you discover a whole world of stuff and nuances and things you could have been using all this time but weren't. So we're going to go deep into that topic, discover some cool, interesting things, and see how it's going. And I'm not going to be alone today. We have, as I promised, a string of amazing guests coming up now, next week, the other week, and so on. So let me introduce our guest for today, Dmytro Mezhenskyi. Hello, Dmytro. Welcome. Super happy to see you on our stream.
Hello, super happy to be here. Thanks for invitation. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, I'm super happy.
Oh, hello everyone.
Yeah. So, Dmytro, tell me a bit about yourself, and maybe we can then talk about dependency injection.
Yeah, sure. My name is Dmytro Mezhenskyi. I am a software developer, first of all, and also I share my knowledge on my YouTube channel and deliver different tutorials and video courses, and there I share my knowledge about Angular. Yeah, Angular, this is my main focus, and I do it already many years. I do this, and this is what I mostly do. This is my main activity, so to say.
Yeah.
And you can, I have a name of my channel there in next to my name. So if
Please
someone
send
sees
the
me
link.
first time,
Yeah.
you can check this out. It's called Decoded Frontend. Where is the chat so I
It's
can
super famous,
drop it?
actually. I have also watched some of your videos in the past.
Oh, thank you. I hope you learn.
I think I lost you for a moment, Dmytro. Hey, I
with
think I
internet.
lost you for a moment.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's a problem with internet for whatever reason. Okay, I hope it will never happen again. I said that I cannot access the chat, so I cannot send anything into it.
Feel free to send it to me, and
There is
we'll
a
put the
private
link in
chat
YouTube
available,
description.
so you can
Yeah,
reshare it.
let me see if I can.
Sorry for the technical interruptions. Yeah, sometimes it happens.
Yeah, no worries. It happens a lot here. At least it's something that you have no control over. You know, we have a tradition on this channel. Whenever I'm doing solo streams, like exploring something, showing code, at some point I come back to this tab to answer to questions, and then I go to the code. I'm starting to type something, and then I come back to the comments, and I see a lot of comments. Man, you're not sharing your screen. So yeah. I think we have a small issue now again. No worries, I'm sure Dmytro will be back in no time. Although I don't know, maybe I am being shown as frozen here. Let me check the live stream on Twitter, for example, and see if it shows me or him frozen, or maybe both of us. Well, it looks like only Dmytro is frozen for a moment. Yeah, right. That's a snag. Wait, let's see what we can do about this. About we move Dmytro for a moment and maybe bring him back. Still frozen. Wait.
Check the internet on.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, can you hear me, Dmytro?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are back. But while you were away, people were posting some very cool things about you and your channel. For example, Kev Kevorkian here says that Dmytro, your videos are amazing and powerful. Thank you very much. They are very useful. And
thank you for the feedback.
And Michael says, well, Michael always has a lot of nice things to say. He says best relative content and levels of expertise. So you can feel
Thank
proud,
you, Michael.
Man.
I do. Yeah. Yes. Sorry again, guys, for the interruption.
No worries.
It happens. So the second take, usually it's more successful than the first one.
Of course.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's talk a bit about dependency injection. And I have one thing to kick it off, because I think the audience might be a bit divided. Some people might probably, at least initially, skip this live stream because they might think they know, well, everything they need to know about dependency injection. But on the more deeper side of it, I think you might share the sentiment that people actually kind of a bit overestimate how much they know about dependency injection, because for the average Angular developer, for a lot of them, and I've seen this also in technical interviews and so on, dependency injection is ultimately about services, okay, code splitting, let's say, this code lives here, this code is here, but it's not the end of the story, right? And
and also you forgot about the injectable decorator. Yeah. This is what usually people think first about dependency injection. As you say, it's service, which is basically the thing, the class decorated with the injectable. And you inject the instance of this class somewhere in the component. That's true. I also noticed that very often there because again, or
I can see you back, but now you're frozen a bit again. You can, if the internet works for you in general, if it's a problem with the stream, feel free to go out and come back. I can't stop it though, if you can hear me. Hey, sorry everyone. We are hitting some technical problems today, which is all right, happens to everyone all the time. It's actually fascinating to me that this is kind of like the first time we have technical problems on our live streams. So I asked a question to Dmytro, so before he comes back, let me entertain you a bit. The question was about people overestimating their knowledge and capabilities when it comes to Angular dependency injection, because a lot of people think that dependency injection is just services. Hey, Dmytro, welcome back. Yeah, I was trying to entertain people a bit.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I don't understand. Is this problem on my side?
I
I
think it
think
appears so because I went on my other browser tab to Twitter live stream and you were shown frozen there, but I was not. So I don't know. Some
I
weird
don't get it.
thing.
I checked the internet. It looks like internet works on my side. I don't know what could
And
be a
maybe it was some issue
problem
with
there.
the REST platform. Maybe that you logged out and logged
Okay,
back in. Maybe.
maybe then you can give a little recap of what you already shared, so I can
Yeah, I was
pick
talking
it up.
about essentially what we were discussing about people not knowing actually that much about dependency injection and having a bit limited view on that it's all about services and just code being separated, which is one important aspect of DI. But there's a lot more things that you could do with it. You can use it for different environments. You can use it with some design patterns like strategy pattern or I don't know factory
Mm-hmm.
pattern, which is kind of baked in. That was in general what I was talking about. So I'm interested to hear
Yeah,
about your views.
that's true. I've been there as well for a long time. I thought that yeah, we like dependency injection was for me like one centralized injector where all the services live and they all singletons. This is what we can hear very, very often, that services,
Yeah,
they are singletons in our applications,
not
and
true.
which is partly true. If we say in scope of injector it is, yeah,
Yeah,
singleton, even though actually you have a config to make it multiple, like to have multiple instances of the same service with multi-through. Yeah, so like dive exactly
yeah,
already in the rabbit hole, but okay, yeah. But anyway, like before it was like this, yeah, singleton service and so on. And then the next phase of for me was that I discovered that okay, no, we have so many injectors and they
yeah,
actually have their own hierarchy. And that was the first my like wow effect or aha
yeah,
moment. And then I realized, oh gosh, we have not only one hierarchy, we have actually multiple hierarchies. And yeah, when I realized that, it changed like everything for me.
yeah,
It changed the way I think when I design components, when I configure them, share data between them. Yeah, that was the powerful knowledge I learned. And yeah, that's uh, that's very, very important to keep in mind if you want to build extensible, reusable, and maintainable applications. Yeah, that's true.
I have. Yeah, I had. I remember. I have an interesting question, not to you, but the one that I use, for example, in technical interviews. When asking about dependency injection, well, the usual stuff. People say, well, we should provide something somewhere, then we can inject something somewhere. And then I ask, okay, have you ever written an Angular directive? Now, like, yeah, sure, of course. And did you use the element ref there? Like, did you do like inject element ref or maybe put it in a constructor? Like, yeah, of course. And then I would ask, well, where is element ref provided? How did it get
Hmm.
injected? What is element ref? And essentially, it's a very, very good, like, pivotal question. If you know the answer to that question, you can say, yeah, you reasonably well knowledge about dependency injection. You know how it works. You know about the DOM tree, how every element gets its
Hmm.
element injector, and then the element ref is provided for you. That's why on different elements you can use the same directive, but you get different element ref instances. Or you don't know, and it's a bit of a magic for you, which is great in terms of it's a very good abstraction, right? In terms of
Hmm.
Angular. Yeah, just do inject element ref, you will get the element. Even if you don't understand anything about DI, you can use it, you can build something with it. It's super abstract, but it's also very like hands down. There is no magic per se going there. You just write
Hmm.
the same code that you would anywhere. But it works. And Yeah, I agree. It's the big
But
wow moment
why?
when you realize
But
what it
why it
works. Yeah,
works?
yeah. Now that's the
Yeah.
interesting thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, and yeah, like later then when I realized about this all the how injector works, what the purpose of it, it was another like impact on my testing. So like
Yeah,
because dependency injection plays a huge role also in testing for mocking
yeah,
dependencies and providing stubs, etc. And yeah, it was also like for me like, okay, now I understand what I'm doing, and it's such a great feeling
yeah.
when you finally like it's not mysterious for you, but you understand how it actually works, and it gives you a feeling of control, which is actually amazing. um, and yeah, we can actually talk a little bit, if you don't mind, yeah, about the
Of course.
changes that dependency injection like gets in like latest Angular versions, especially in
Absolutely.
standalone API. Because
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I have a video about dependency injection where I explain, but there it was like 4
yep,
years ago,
yeah.
and a lot of things changed there. And yeah,
Let's talk about it.
yeah, one of the I think significant thing that impacted dependency injection last time is the injector function. Yeah,
Yeah,
which also has a lot of improvements compared to the constructor injection. If yeah, someone still uses it, I would
it's now
recommend
kind of
to.
mandatory, right?
It's recommended. It's not mandatory. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
No.
your code will compile and it will work, but inject function has more benefits, in my opinion. So it's about better typings. It can infer types
Yeah,
if you inject injection tokens. It makes more simple inheritance, because if you use inheritance,
yes.
okay, I will drop the discussion if inheritance good or bad, but okay, yeah,
Well, sometimes
at
it
some
is good.
point sometimes it is good, yeah. And if you need to like inject from the parent class, then you would need to do a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
boilerplate with constructor super and then chain it
Yep,
to the
yep.
parent class. It's not very convenient, and inject function
Yeah,
helps
yeah.
there definitely. um,
But
what
it's also
else?
super cool to be able to call it inside functions instead of classes.
Yeah, it's opens a new like opens doors for different patterns that, for instance, were used in some
Yeah,
Angular core tools like take until destroyed operator. There, this technique has been used, where they inject the destroy ref token, which
yeah,
also has been relatively recently introduced. And yeah, it performs the like uses
yep,
inject function
yeah,
to inject this destroy and then register cleanup logic, which is very convenient. And I
yeah,
see like a lot of places in regular applications where this pattern could be used, and this is really cool. The only thing I think that is not obvious, it might be frustrating a little bit, is that you should call it in the injection context, or
yeah,
the
right.
constructor context. So
That's the
if
big
you
topic.
put, yeah, and
But there is a way to
many
kind of
developers,
circumvent it, right?
sorry.
You kind of there's a way to circumvent it too, right? You can kind of use such functions in other methods, not only in constructor.
Yeah, but then you need to inject injector, provide usually this injector as a
Yeah.
parameter, and it looks a bit
It's a bit boilerplate. Yeah, sure.
boilerplate-ish, yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
But still, but considering that with new reactivity system, everything moves to this constructor time
Yeah.
execution context, it gets less and less problem. But initially, I also noticed that I did this mistake quite often, that I tried to call it inside, and you only need lifecycle hook, or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in places like that, which is not appropriate, an appropriate place for that.
I heard
So,
a rumor, which was a bit long ago, maybe a year ago. I cannot say it assuredly. This is not official information, but there have been maybe discussions about kind of allowing all, for example, component class methods to automatically be in the injection context. Now, this requires a bit more work than one
mhm,
might imagine. It's not super easy for Angular because there's a lot of stuff going on with the injection context. I want to
mhm,
clarify a bit why injection context exists, because it sounds a bit not intuitive. Like, okay, if I have a function that is called inject something, then I
mhm,
can just call inject something and it should work, right? Why it works in the constructor, but in Engine it doesn't work. It's not super obvious for everyone. And I just want to make clear that you start realizing it when you know about, when you first ditch the notion that services are singletons, because they are not. They are singletons like incidentally. If you provided something at the root and nowhere else, okay, it will be technically a
mhm,
singleton. There's only one instance you can inject, but that's not actually what happens most of the time. Again, we talked about, for example, element ref. Absolutely not a singleton, because there's hundreds of HTML elements in your
mhm,
Angular app. All of them have injectors. All of them have element refs. You can grab them if you build a directive on it. Now, injection context exists to keep your component hierarchy and element hierarchy in place, because, as you know, if you provide something at two different levels, depending on where you inject that, you will have different results. If you have service A
mhm,
provided at the root, but also provided on a child route, if you inject inside the child route, you will get this other instance. If you inject in another part of the component tree, you will get the other instance. And this is where injection contexts come in place, because if you just can say, oh, please inject this thing anywhere, they wouldn't make any sense. If you write inject element ref in a service, that might not make any sense. It could make sense if you provide
mhm,
that service inside a component, and then when you initialize the service, it will go up the tree and say, okay, this component has element ref, right? And that's why dependency injection context exists, to keep everything kind of working in the same logic. When you ditch that,
mhm,
you will have situations where people will call dependency injection places where it won't work at all, regardless of what Angular does. Like if you just create a file and say inject something, it won't work anyway, because, well, inject from
mhm.
where? There is no
Yes.
component tree or whatever to see. But it can be expanded. I've heard a rumor maybe it will never materialize. Just wanted to drop that. Maybe someone actually knows more
Maybe.
info. Michael.
Yeah, I have never heard about that, but I would love to see something that could solve a lot of this
Hmm.
boilerplate stuff. Also, when I recently investigated the source code of Angular
Yeah.
material, I noticed that in particular, I was interested how they use after next render and
Yeah.
hooks like that. And I noticed that almost everywhere they use this pattern with the inject injector, and everywhere they had to provide it because they call it in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
event handler method whatsoever, and the code doesn't look good. It doesn't look good,
Yeah. But
and I would love to see
yeah.
something with that. That
Any
would be really
ideas
cool.
of why it is done that way? That's actually super interesting. I want to check and maybe see why it does something like that. There's a lot
Yeah,
of stuff going
if you have information, I would love to hear.
on. I
But
don't know.
unfortunately,
I just quickly opened up GitHub and I'm looking at the mud button implementation, for example. It extends from mud button base. It has some. Oh, let's just search
Mhm.
for inject here.
you you can also share the
Let's see.
screen, maybe,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
everyone could see the context.
Yeah. Let's quickly see what interesting things maybe Angular material does with this. Da, da, da. Okay, we have the infinite screen. So here I was looking for inject mentions, and let's see, inject token. No, maybe not exactly here. No, let's see, but here, for example, injection is used only. Well, see, here's an interesting pattern. For example, something like inject something and then dot load. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, this is interesting because I've never ever done anything like this, for example. Essentially, they're just injecting something, using it, and discarding, not even storing
It's
anywhere.
basically like initialization of
Yeah,
some logic,
yeah,
whatever styles it loads the styles, looks like.
yeah, right. Yeah, maybe some
You,
more.
you, you can try to look for, as I said, and after next render. It's also
Right, right.
about the same context, and you can see
Yeah, let's see.
that,
I bet
yeah,
something like
it
the
has a lot of.
calendar maybe as a after next. No, not here. Maybe we need to actually
There
clone the
global
repo.
search or something like that.
Does GitHub does have that? I don't have this
No,
cloned.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't have Angular material GitHub. Or wait
Maybe
a
the
second, maybe
table
I
will have
have.
it. Table is something I guess they would do some heavy manipulations inside row.ts.
I have source
So,
code of Angular material, so I could.
oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can share a screen.
So yeah. Allow.
Let me stop them. How do I stop sharing? Oh, right. I found the button. Yeah.
So. Oops. Angular. Let's try this one. List focus. Do you see it?
Not yet. Yes. Now I see it.
Okay. No, it's another one. It's another one. Okay. Here we go.
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Great.
So after next render. So okay, here's the constructor.
Yeah, there I see the injector.
Yeah, you can see immediately like second.
Yeah, they press the injector.
Second attempt. Yeah, providing injector because it's executed when the application is stable.
Yeah.
Right inside promise, it is asynchronous stuff, and so on and so forth. So here maybe same pattern for what is that
right.
dialog container. Yeah, because it is happens on the trap focus whatsoever. Yeah, that's one of the things. Like actually, I like the new reactivity system, but yeah, this this part a little bit annoying. If
I think the idea
if I would criticize
here,
for something, that would be one of the things. But in general, I'm really enjoying how it is to work with the new reactivity system.
I think the idea here is to make like the code base itself, like different component classes, as generic as possible, and allowing some other callbacks from other sources run, but giving it your own injection context. So you are both sure that if you run it on application stable, you are sure that it can use the injector, and then you just pass the injector and say, okay, write whatever function you want, pass it to this component, it will work. I think it
Mm-hmm.
might actually kind of simplify also testing, because when you have a uh, method, a function, or whatever that accepts callbacks, like it accepts behavior from some other places, it can
Mm-hmm.
become quite hard to manage it because there's so many scenarios. They can literally, the user of the component can pass whatever they want,
Mm-hmm.
and this way you can just be sure that whatever they do, their tests will work in isolation. They can test their function with their own injector, inject,
Mm-hmm.
mock, whatever, and here you
Mm-hmm.
can test knowing that, okay, I've just allowed them to do whatever, they can just test their function. This part, I'm just making sure that the callback runs when I want it to run. I don't care what it does, and I can see why that pattern works. But yeah, I agree, having to pass this injector all the time, because it's a bit
Mm-hmm.
counterintuitive, because you always pass the same injector. Here's an interesting question to which I don't know the answer. When would there be a scenario where you would pass a different injector? Like you have a component,
Like
then
parent
somehow in
injector.
some way, maybe yes, but why? So to
No,
limit the
well,
lookup or whatever.
not in exactly in this pattern, but I had a use case for that when I created dynamically a component and or dynamically create injector, because you can create your own injectors. Yeah, there is a special
Yeah,
factory exposed as a public API, so you can create it. And there you can provide the parent injector to make it chainable, because by default,
yeah,
this new injector, it exists in isolation of the main injector tree. Yeah, and if you
yeah,
want that, for example, component that is bound to this your manually created injector, if you want that it uses, for instance, HTTP client, and then you have to chain it with the main
mm,
injection tree, because otherwise you will
yeah,
get runtime error if you try to inject HTTP client, because it checks provider for HTTP client in that injector. It says, no provider. I will look at the parent, but parent also doesn't exist,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
it fails. So in this case, maybe, yeah, I see use case for that scenarios, but not particularly for things like, yeah,
Yeah.
we discussed before.
That's interesting. I
Mhm.
think,
You
yeah, you can't have a, yeah, you were saying.
No, I just wanted to change a little bit the topic and switch to another part of Angular where dependency injection
Sure.
could be used. But if you want to continue and finish the
In
previous
my
topic,
mind, I have
yeah.
all the questions that I want to ask. You cannot escape me, so feel free to talk about another topic.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to mention, because I think that exists since Angular 14, I think, or like it's pretty
Yeah.
old thing, but very often I see very surprising faces when people learn
Mhm.
about it. Is that injectors are created also on the root level.
Yes. Yes.
For the router, for a certain page, you can provide certain services, override services, or whatever. Do with that and configure it very flexible way. Like, you can fetch data in some particular
Yes.
part of your application one way, but then you can
Yes.
override and provide alternative implementation of particular service for certain router, and that's really convenient and yeah, very useful
Can I?
feature. With that
Yeah.
one pitfall though, which soon supposed to be fixed, but up until now, providers or like injectors that
Yes.
are created
Yes.
for a particular route, they were always live.
Yes.
Even though you navigate away from the route, injector stays, and all the services or other stuff that are instantiated there and are in this injector, they stay alive. And that's pretty confusing because we move from the root. Theoretically, it should be destroyed, right? But it's
Now,
not true. And in the upcoming
yeah,
version, I saw the tweet from Matthew Riegler, I think, or someone else.
yes,
I
yes.
don't remember from
I think we
whom.
also talked with
That
him this month about that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, and
They are going
they
to
want
make
to
them
provide a feature
destroyable.
that
Yeah.
allows you to kill the corresponding root injector, and this is really cool
I
thing
think it
because it helps some
raises a
streamers.
question which, yeah, I maybe should have asked Matteo when he was on the stream. But does that mean that now you should be able to also implement stuff like ng on destroy inside services?
But you can
Because
do.
if you have,
But you can do
yeah, I
ng
mean,
on destroy lifecycle hook is called when the injector and the corresponding service is destroyed.
but wait, I haven't ever used it. Can you do it now? Because I remember at some point I tried using a destroy ref, sorry, not a destroy ref. I could use a destroy ref inside a service because that would kind of refer to the component where it was injected at the point. Sorry, not injected, provided. But does it like work in a way that, for example, I have a service provided on a route level? If the route, well, up until now it wasn't being destroyed, right?
It depends. Like if you provide into your service into the root injector,
it won't
in
work.
this case, it will work forever. Yeah, until the application works, it will
And
forever.
it
But
doesn't make sense there,
yeah, there it makes no sense really. But
so wait, sorry, if
you provide,
if I do it on a component level, will it call ng on destroy? Because I'm not sure
for the
I
service,
have tried that. That's super fascinating.
let's try it in real.
Let's do it. Yeah, sure. Because I think at some point I tried to implement something like that. Maybe I did it in the wrong way, but I remember being disappointed that it didn't work the way I expected. It would be super.
Maybe you provided
fascinating
service
to see.
into the root injector, and that's why it didn't work for
Could
you.
be, but I mean, I can't see myself doing something stupid like that because it sounds super obvious to me that it shouldn't work because it's root. It's gonna be.
Maybe you experimenting with this after the work when you are too when
Oh
you're
no, I'm
too
only
tired, and
experimenting
you
during
know
work.
it.
Last 5 years.
Yeah, because
before
you
that,
know
maybe.
it happens even with the best of us. It happens that
Sure.
you cannot imagine how many stupid things I do, and fortunately, yeah,
no,
no
that's
one
how you
sees
learn
this.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't try anything
Absolutely.
with DI recently. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's
And now we just need a service
maybe.
with engine and destroy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to create certain my service. And let's say implement, or we don't even need it, ng on destroy, and let's console log something like I'm destroyed.
Yep.
Da.
And then we provide it on the, like, for example, the user list.
Yeah, we can provide it right here. So it's providers. Oops. Nah, I had to enable Copilot maybe. And
no, it absolutely hurts so much on the live stream.
Yeah, class is using feature, but it's not decorated.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Actually, you don't need to.
Actually,
Fun
yes.
For everyone watching, you don't need to write the injectable. If you provide it somewhere, it just works. It won't work if you try to inject something into it.
Exactly.
But if you're not, you're kind of good.
And I think it complains because you want to use the ng on destroy lifecycle hook. This is like an Angular feature, and that's why it requires.
It's the Angular language service, right?
Yeah. So we provided on the components level. So I think it should work. So let's see, because I'm not also 100% sure already.
Let's see. It's I'm all
Um,
for experiments.
yeah. So let me switch to another tab. Not decorate. I think it's old feature. Okay. And we should navigate. Okay, I don't see anything.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Okay.
but maybe you needed to also inject it. Did you inject it or only provide it?
But
I'm not
it will
sure, but
create the instance. It should
yeah,
create the
right.
instance of
Oh,
the
sorry,
yeah.
but as far as I remember, it does create an instance. I might be wrong, but I remember reading it somewhere, and I suspect it was in Lars Nielsen's book about Ivy. Somehow there was a topic about that where I read that, or maybe it was in an
Ah,
article of his, that it creates it kind of lazily
exactly.
on the
Yeah,
first
lazy
time you inject.
creation.
Maybe we should, yeah, maybe we
Yeah,
should
yeah, yeah, yeah.
inject it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my service. Exactly. I forgot about this. Inject.
Yeah, let's see if
I
that
already have
changes
it.
things. Because
My
if it does, my mind will be
service.
blown.
Yeah, that's a good catch. That's a good catch. So we go to users and then go to
Okay.
and
Oh,
destroy. Okay,
wow.
destroyed. Yeah, but it
Yeah.
works.
Now
Yeah.
my mind blown. I didn't know this works, and I'm kind of happy to be proven wrong. This is cool. This is cool. So now, because you have route injectors being destroyed, maybe this is a good piece of advice for everyone watching. You should now be kind of implementing ng destroy or like using destroy ref when you work with observables, for example, inside services, or you
Yeah.
subscribe or you trigger a set timeout or whatever. If you have something that repeats or it has a possibility of like flooding your memory, you need to be implementing
Mm-hmm.
a destroy mechanism on services if they are provided on the route level. This is also actually interesting. This is also super interesting if you are using NGRX signal store, because you usually often
Mm-hmm.
provide different pieces of store also on the router level, like store that is
Right.
shared between some feature components. And now inside of that, you are like 99% likely to be using RX method or maybe something that is repetitive, and you maybe need to refresh the state or whatever, or maybe distress. Maybe you have something connected to local storage
Mm-hmm.
and you want to
Mm-hmm.
delete that. So yeah, this is super interesting, and take note, everyone. This is
Yeah.
kind of definitely gonna come up in the future. You don't know where this stuff comes bite you, and if you forget about it, when it bites you, it's super hard to figure out what you are doing wrong, because you will be looking at completely different places and like, well, this all makes sense. Why it's not working? And it's often a DI problem.
Right.
I had stuff like that
Yeah.
with NGRX. Something is provided in wrong place, and now you have another food gun.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a bad way. Like, it's good that it does that, but you need to be careful with it too. So yeah,
Right. Right. Another like example, which is pretty useful, I think, for
yeah,
this particular upcoming feature, is the polling, like data polling. For example, if you have I don't know, some dashboard or whatever things where you have to regularly
yeah,
update and get fresh data, you can do that on a certain particular level. For example,
yeah.
because for static pages like about us or
Yep.
whatsoever, you don't need that, right? And you can provide the polling service on the router level for dashboard
Yeah,
route, for instance. But then, like before, it was a problem that it's easy to provide, yeah, easy to initialize on the route level, but it starts polling, and then if user leaves this URL, the polling continues, and then you would need
yeah,
to do different, I would say, hacky ways a little bit. You have to inject the polling service into the component
yeah.
that is
And on
associated with
this,
this
on
particular route.
oh, yeah,
and then call inside ng on destroy lifecycle hook of the component. You have to stop
Yes,
the
and
polling, and it worked, but it's not, I think, the right place, because
yes,
component
yes,
should not
I agree. Agree.
like the life cycle of
It's not
the
its
polling
use there.
service should not depend on the component, because today you have one component associated with that road, then it grows, and you can wrap it with another, I don't know, some page component whatsoever, and
It
then
becomes
you
hacky.
should again move
This
this
component
stuff.
only exists to defeat the poll
Yeah,
service problem.
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't actually. It's not really a
things like
component.
that. Yeah, and it
Yeah,
doesn't feel
I
right.
really
It just
understood
doesn't
that.
feel
Yeah.
right. So um yeah, so I
Okay.
think that's really cool thing, looking
Can
forward.
I introduce two controversial a bit maybe topics?
Yeah, sure.
One is an opinion that I have,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously is my opinion. I believe it to be true, but feel free to disagree. Also, everyone in the comments too, which we will. Sorry, but we will circle back. We had a lot of exciting stuff. I think that knowing how context in React works
Mm-hmm.
helps to understand how dependency injection works in Angular. Because usually for people, context and DI, they don't ring the same, but they kind of are.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of React, is not formalized in terms of, oh, these are services, your methods go there and you use them in components. It's just not formalized in that way, but you can absolutely do
Mm-hmm.
that. But the mechanism how it works, and even connected to routing, is essentially kind of the same. In React, what
Mm-hmm.
do? You have component tree hierarchy, and
Mm-hmm.
you have the provider component where you can put an
Mm-hmm.
array or some other providers and so on, and have dependencies provided. It's just called context there. And then you have a function which is just called use context there instead of being called inject like in Angular,
Mm-hmm.
which hierarchically gives you the context or the injectable, again depending in which framework you're looking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of the same in Angular. It's just a bit more formalized, like for routings in React routing they usually use again components, so you have like
Mm-hmm.
path or something like router component, browser router, I don't know, there are different things, and inside of them you put your components to be rendered depending on the path.
Mm-hmm.
And your context survives that. You can provide context on one route and it will be a piece of data or a function or whatever that is accessible only there. In Angular, it's just a bit more formal. You don't type it literally into the DOM, let's say. You don't write it in a template, but it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the same. It's a bit abstracted away. If you figure it out how context works, which is a bit more obvious because it's in the template, Angular is kind
Mm-hmm.
of the same. Maybe it's a controversial opinion, but for me, it feels like you
Mm,
can explore the other one and gain some insights here.
I don't know. I'm first of all, I'm not a big React expert, so I did
Me too, but yeah.
React, so I have some experience. I know what you mean about the context.
Yeah.
Like if we talk about it on the as a like mental model of, well, yeah, that's maybe the same, but from what I
Yeah,
remember,
that's what I mean.
context there in React, it's very tied to change detection. If I remember that, when context in React changes, the whole entire like component tree
Yeah,
under this context,
yeah,
it
kind
gets
of, yes.
re-rendered, and it causes some runtime issues with that. I don't know, maybe it's already fixed. It was back then when I was
I think
working with
it's a bit
React as well.
different now, yeah, but you are correct because when you use context and you receive something, if up the tree that context changes, it's obviously kind of makes sense that it would re-render.
Yeah.
Although, as far as I understand, it only renders the components that kind of use the context instead of like everything in that
Hmm.
tree. And also, re-rendering in React
Yeah.
means a bit different things than it
Yeah.
does in Angular.
In Angular, those things they
Yeah,
are like detached. Yeah, it would be
yeah,
crazy if data in some service changes and then the entire
yeah.
thing
But
goes
funnily
crazy.
enough, now we are a bit closer to that because if you have a signal somewhere, it's just that it's
Yeah,
smart enough to kind of affect
figure
only
out where.
the places where
Hmm.
the signal is used. If you do something
Hmm.
in the template, then it will do something starting from
Hmm.
that template. But yeah, I agree. The mental model is kind of the same. I just like the thing that in Angular, it's not obvious that your dependency injection is tied to
Hmm.
the DOM, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Elements have injection, element injectors, and so on. They are hierarchical and blah blah blah. It's something that you don't know unless they show you, unless you read the advanced docs or try maybe something out. In React, it's kind of the same, but obvious because you're literally putting your providers and your routes and everything
Hmm.
inside your template. So it's kind of, yeah, it makes sense. The provider is here and where I use it is here,
Hmm.
so they're
Hmm.
connected. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
think
I think
just
if the goal is
looking
to
at,
onboard some React
yeah,
developer in Angular
yeah,
project, yeah, it makes sense
oh,
to
absolutely, yeah.
approach from this side. Yeah, I would do the same, I think.
Also, please never ask Grok about Angular dependency injection on Twitter. It's somehow often wrong. You know, I love to post about DI. It's my favorite topic in Angular. DI is the glue that keeps Angular like together. Everything works. Every
Yeah,
new thing you plug into your app comes through DI. It's like the central
and
nervous
actually,
system of the Angular application.
yeah, not only Grok, by the way, that does this issue. Recently,
I
I
just
have
have seen him being, yeah,
yeah, just by incident, I did some preparations for like for today's talk, and I wanted. I don't remember already what exactly the prompt was, but how I
yeah,
can share the screenshot. What
sure.
Claude shared with me.
Well,
So
all the AIs are wrong about different things all the time.
yeah, I
That's
don't
kind of
know.
like,
Do you
yeah,
see
but
do you see the screenshot?
yeah.
So
Wait, I think it's not
it
loaded. Yeah,
says
now I
it
can.
claims that you can see inject decorator and
Yeah. Ah,
token. It
right.
ensures type checking, which is not actually true.
Yeah, it's
This is
absolutely
one of
not
the
true because
reasons
instead of
where,
app, yeah, yeah,
because instead of app config, you can provide the string and it
definitely.
will compile perfectly. This is one of the
Yeah.
thing where inject function is actually beneficial because it can properly
Yep.
infer
Yep.
the type. And Claude made a mistake, even though inject function is pretty like not old, but I don't know, it exists since Angular 14, 15, 14, I think. It's
I think yes. So
a couple
yes,
of
yes.
years already. Yeah, a couple of years already.
Yep.
And for
At
whatever
least four.
reason, yeah, Claude, Claude still relies on this wrong data or does wrong interpretation. And I have an MCP server. That's interesting. I have an MCP server
Oh,
with context 7 MCP server, which supposed
yeah.
to get the newest information from documentation.
But
But well,
are you using the Angular MCP server also on top of it?
sorry.
Are you using the Angular's official MCP server also on top of that?
Not yet, not yet.
Yeah,
I
I've
didn't
seen
try.
it.
I've heard about it, but I didn't try it.
Oh wait, someone is saying, Arman, let us hear Dmytro, please. Oh, I'm sorry if I've been interrupting you a lot.
No, no,
That's like you know, part and parcel of me. I do that. I'm sorry.
no, I didn't notice that you interrupt me or anything like that. So for me, it's fine.
No, no, I definitely did. I do it all the time. I mean, you need to also moderate a bit, but sorry.
No, no worries, no worries. It's okay. Okay, Andrea Anderson. Yeah, I'm starting talking to talk more. um, yeah, you said that you have another controversial
Right,
opinion.
right. Not an opinion this time. I mean, it is an opinion, just not an opinion of mine.
Hmm.
Especially on Twitter, there's been a lot of debates about, oh no, inject function is actually bad, it's service locator, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. It's not about that. One opinion that I can kind of see that it has real weight to it is that it maybe makes testing a bit harder because in the past you could just, for example, for your service you could just pass your mocks to the constructor, and now you have to go through some rigmarole because you need to provide re-inject and so
Hmm.
on. How much do you think this actually affects people's developer experience in terms of testing?
I think the inject function. Okay, if we're talking about controversial things, yeah, I say another controversial thing that many people probably will not agree. Some of them maybe agree. I don't think that it was a good idea to like write in tests instances of the classes. Yeah, like we did, like create
I
new
like it.
service, user
Yeah,
service, whatever, and then and do stuff and do it like a usual class. I don't find it good because it is quite not the same how instance of the service is created
yeah,
by Angular. And my philosophy is that testing philosophy is that to be as close as possible to framework, to what happens
yeah,
actually in application. And inject function affected those who didn't follow this rule, who tried to create manually things, and then they paid the price of, price of additional refactoring, who relied on like inject testbed inject, or used test host component test host approach. I know, but I mean, when
yeah,
you wrap your component you are testing with additional wrapper that exists only for tests. And yeah, those who followed those approach, who was close to framework, they didn't notice any actually changes. Yeah,
yeah,
and that's why I can agree that, yeah, it made testing harder in terms of that it required significant changes in refactorings. But overall, it was a good move towards to push, to make people, to make developers be closer to the framework in
yeah,
their tests. And it's not only about inject function, it's also about many other things, especially inputs. When new signal inputs has been introduced, a lot of components failed, and especially failed those tests where components also has been created as a class instance, which I really I don't understand. I don't understand that when in tests people create new instance of the, I know, user component and then just test methods as if it was some general class on backend or whatever. I mean, it's a
I have
component.
seen that
It lives with the
argument.
template. So uh, so yeah, that's my
Ciao.
opinion. As I said, the Chow
Yeah,
will
man.
not please to
It's
hear
been
this.
interesting to hear this. Yeah, Angular Free is full of this custom injection function. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
as
we
I
should
said,
invite
it's
Sal sometime.
yeah, it could be interesting discussion, or
Yeah,
maybe he's here and he can join. But yeah, I mean, it's also controversial. Different opinion exists. I just share my opinion, which like worked,
this
yeah,
is actually,
in real
yeah,
applications. Though I started, I remember it was at some point quite popular approach to test components as a regular classes. Yeah, when you create an instance, then just call public methods, and then if it works, yeah, it
Yeah,
works. Yeah, but then after time, like I noticed that okay, here we like made a mistake because okay, we tested server, but we didn't test if it actually called when user clicks the button or
yeah,
something like that. And
yeah,
then step by step, I realized that okay, the closer you you are to the real environment, real
yeah.
application, then the better, the more stable your tests are. So I cannot say that
I
testing got harder. I think it now is done right. Yeah, we forced
I don't
to do
think
it right.
your
But
opinion
yeah.
is controversial at all. It's actually a fantastic answer to that question. Yeah, I never agreed. For example, in terms of services, it kind of made sense to me. No, it's just a class. It just doesn't do anything with the view or whatever. So to me, it was like, yeah, if someone is doing something like new auth service, I'm okay with that. But with components, I was never okay with that because that's not what components were supposed to do. In terms of directives, it was even more kind of senseless to me because well, the entire purpose of directives is to do something with the DOM.
Yeah,
If
and
you
you
are
should test
just
it as a
going to
class.
mock the entire DOM, yeah, are you just going to say new something something directive, then mock a DOM element, mock a DOM event, mock a some? You can just place it into a mock template and just test that template via a component or something. Different approaches are there. So it would be actually
Mhm.
even harder. And in terms of components, was this philosophy that oh no, never test templates, write end-to-end test for it. But I mean, end-to-end test, for example, might be handled by different people. For example, maybe you have a team that is testing stuff in general. They are like QAs and so on who are working only on the testing things. That doesn't mean you are not writing unit tests. So now if your unit tests are not covering the part of the app that is actually visible in some way to the
Mhm.
user, that sounds bad to me. So turns out that like doing new some service is very inconsistent with the rest. If you are not doing that with directives and components and so on, that's inconsistent. So I agree with you. And yeah, next time I see that debate, I will drop what you said here. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I actually partially agree with you that you say that for services it's not such a big deal. Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. Yeah, but still, the way like it's slightly different, and yeah.
Also, the way of instantiating Angular building blocks, like creating a component in testing, I mean, creating a directive, creating a
Mm-hmm.
service, has been vastly simplified as years go on. Right now, you do stuff
Yeah.
like that: test bed, inject, service, and that's literally it.
Mm-hmm.
You are writing the same amount of code essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. One thing I would say, if you have any like independent functions that you reuse in places and you have the inject function used inside, one suggestion that I had, and maybe you will agree, is that if you are doing injections there, you do them in the arguments of the function, like instead of inside the function. Instead of that, you would do something like your function and you have an argument some service, and the default value is
Mm-hmm.
whatever is injected. So you can easily test
Mm-hmm.
that function. There you just pass the
Yeah.
whatever mock that you want to pass, because the functions are not created in an Angular way. They are separate. They're just functions. You just call them. So using them inside
Mm-hmm.
arguments, like you would do in a constructor, makes sense there. But with
Mm-hmm.
services,
Mm-hmm.
you can just write inject, use testbed, inject, and it works fine. So no problem
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's before wrapping this up. Oh, man, we covered a lot of topics actually. I think the main message is clearly through.
Yeah,
Please, people, learn more about
one thing
applications.
maybe
Yeah.
also
Sure.
some insight, that thing that I recently like discovered, and
Mhm.
I somehow missed that. For that, I would need to probably show. the Angular DevTools. And for those who didn't know, in Angular DevTools extension, there is injector
Yeah.
tree that
Yes.
shows the
Yes.
graph, and very useful thing. I was very happy to see that.
Let's see.
And I
Yep.
wish I had such a visualization back then when I was learning dependency injection. And what I noticed that for standalone apps, when you, for example, import in your standalone component, if you add to the imports a module that has providers, so I always thought that instances of those providers from the module, they go into app, into the root injector, yeah, into this one. I don't know, you see this injection graph,
Yeah.
right? So I thought
Yeah.
it goes there, but it turns out that it's created standalone app, additional injector, and they are registered there. You see the mat toolbar module, some other internal stuff, they are created there. I was very surprised to this
And then it
to
goes
see
to the
this
root.
injector. I didn't know that it exists. This
So
intermediate
theoretically, you can have like
injector.
multiple apps,
Yeah,
multiple standalone apps, maybe that share a
probably. But if
common
you have
type.
multiple
Could be
apps, you
useful
would
for
have multiple
yeah.
routes. I don't know. I think it's some internal workaround just for standalone
Maybe.
applications,
Yeah.
or like to make both work standalone and ng module
Yeah.
based stuff. I'm not sure, but it's really interesting. I didn't see that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of things we didn't
Different.
even touch, like resolution modifiers,
Oh,
dependency providers. Damn, it's such a big topic.
maybe we
For
should
the
do a
1 hour,
continuation sometime. Let's
maybe
just
continuation. Yeah, because there are
let's
a
just
lot of
see the
problem. Like I had big problems in understanding some of the resolution modifiers, like host, then self and skip self. But at the point when I didn't know about the hierarchy, because in the beginning I mentioned that at some time I thought that exists only one injector, and I thought like, what self skip? It made no sense for me. And but then like
For
step
me,
by
I
step,
had
I
one
realized that
question there. For me, like self, skip self, kind of obvious when I would or wouldn't use that.
optional as well.
Optional is the most obvious. Uh, how host works is not obvious, but easy to figure out. Now, the big question for me is when would I use host instead of self? And why? More like why?
Mm-hmm.
And until you actually run into a specific situation where you don't need this one from here, but you need specifically from the like parent view, and
Mm-hmm.
this is a rare situation, man. Like it happens, but it's rare.
Yeah,
When you
but
see it, you
it's
see
used.
it. But yeah,
Yeah, and you know where it is used? I can even show
I'll
you
be able to know. Go on.
some,
Sure.
and I think on that point we can stop, but we will dive into Angular source code a little bit. This is the like only place where I found the real usage of it. Let's open Angular. I didn't share it. Okay. So if you try to have a look at certain directives like form, I don't know, from control name,
Yes.
and
Right.
scroll a bit. Where's the constructor? Here we go.
Yes, I see the
And
host. Yes.
Which line can you? Here we go. Here we go.
150. Yes.
Host.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it injects the control container, and control container is actually resolved to either parent form group or the
Yeah.
form, right? And right here, like host, it tells that we have to look for this container for this group within the view where this form control name directive is declared, because
Yeah.
you cannot technically wrap the form and have it I don't know, one part opening of the form in one component, and in second component you can close the form. It's one
Yeah.
thing that cannot be wrapped. And if you don't encounter the control container within this view, it makes no sense to,
Look
follow
up.
up the other
Yeah.
injectors and inject other things, because likely you
Those won't be
might
the ones.
inject wrong form group
Yeah.
form control container.
Yeah.
And that's this kind of guard that they implemented to make things works. But fairly, I think it brings more like pain when you want to reuse a form rather than helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I
Makes sense for
really
Angular core though.
sorry.
I mean, it makes sense for the maintainers of Angular forms. That's how
Yeah,
it
yeah,
works because it's super
yeah.
predictable.
Yeah, I think those resolution modifiers very often they work more like guard for library creators to
Yeah.
somehow restrict you and force you to use the building blocks of the library in the proper
Yeah.
way and prevent from misuse. And that's why self skip self can be used. Like skip self, I remember back then could be used to make sure that you didn't, I think, import the core module twice. Yeah, but if you remember when we
Yeah.
had ng modules and they heavily used that, we had the concept of core module, and it had to be imported only once. And with skip self, we could implement kind of guard that could prevent the multiple providers of the core module. So yeah, things like that. And
Makes sense.
yeah, regarding host, this is the most confusing probably resolution modifier that sometimes very confusing to understand, and even
The
harder
example
to
you
find.
showed is very good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's thanks to Angular team. I think they introduced this host resolution modifier just because of
For
forms.
themselves.
yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe
we are missing something. Maybe someone knows more use cases. I would love to hear as well. That would be really cool to learn more.
Let's quickly run down the comments, see if we have any other questions before we wrap it up. Michael says that if you press period in a GitHub file, it opens like StackBlitz VS Code kind of UI with search across project. Wait, really? Wait, where's GitHub? So period. Which period? There are like a bunch of on my keyboard. Wait, but there is a way to actually make a search. You press on the three dots menu on the upper right corner, and there is like view search dogs, and you can search for you can search for different tokens inside the library. We have a question coming in 21.1 version. I assume this refers to the destroyable injectors in routes. So yes, the answer. If that's the question, the answer is yes.
I think so. And if I remember correctly, it comes with an experimental mode, so it's not production ready yet.
If you provide service to component, you have access to on-the-store hook. Yes, we did an experiment and confirmed it. It was great. I learned a bunch of new things, and this was the most like mind-blowing for me because I was always sure that that's not supposed to work, but it does, and it's great. And one problem I have with component tests is manual trigger if fixture detect changes, which is commonly handled by Angular. Which isn't it like going away soon with signals and zoneless?
It's even
It
before
does, no?
signals, and yeah, you can set up auto change detection.
Oh, right, right, right.
Yeah. And with zoneless, yeah, you rely mostly on fixture when stable, await fixture when stable, and it's equivalent technically to detect changes. Yeah, but I feel you, Misha. I feel you, Misha. Yeah, for me it was also I know pretty annoying to call this detect changes, and very often I was just forgetting about writing detect changes and test fails, and you don't understand why it should work, and then oh my god, yeah, I forgot about it. But now it gets easier, fortunately.
See, I told you initially this is still likely to go over an hour. We did hour and 20 minutes actually. But it was super
Oh yeah,
interesting. I
that's true.
think this was the most interactive maybe stream that we did because we checked the Angular material docs, we checked the Angular docs, we did some experiments on the code base, and also I think we explored a lot of stuff, and also the controversial opinions too. Those are also important, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you very much, Dmytro, for coming today.
Yeah,
It was super
welcome. Thank
enlightening.
you.
Uh, and I
Yeah,
see
thanks
people
for
absolutely
having
love
me.
you in the comments, and yeah, you're welcome anytime, and I will be happy to have you on again sometime. Thanks everyone for
Yeah, sure.
watching, and yeah, see you on the next
I
one.
just see we got a last comment.
Oh wait,
Should we answer
how many
it?
patterns are applicable in the DI and where to see it?
How many
Oh, I
patterns?
think can I do a small like self promotion? I think I kind of understand the question. I have an article about it's called. Let me just quickly check. I think I kind of understand the question. Da, 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 da.
Because how many patterns? Yeah, it's there are so many so
I'm
many
going.
different patterns.
If you are watching on YouTube, I have a series of article called "Design Patterns in Angular," and it uses dependency injection heavily. I see you are watching this on YouTube, so I'm sending to the comments link to this article. You can also just Google search "design patterns in Angular" with my last name. I think there was 2 or 3 articles with like real life examples. DI obviously used heavily there because it helps with design patterns. I have strategy pattern, factory pattern, and several others. You can look it up. Maybe it would give a more detailed answer.
I
So
also
yeah,
have a video about design patterns like
sure.
breach,
Can you
and
share it?
there you can also see. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. That's pretty old video.
You have to be quick. My battery is dying.
Uh-huh,
But
uh-huh,
it's okay.
uh-huh. So,
You can send in the
okay.
private chat place to
Yeah,
the main
yeah.
chat if you
I
can't
think so
do it there.
because I cannot quickly find them. Okay. Here it is. Share, copy. Where is the chat? Da, 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 da. Damn it. I cannot again access the
Yeah,
public
now I see.
chat, but I sent you in the private one
Yeah,
so
no
you
worries.
can reshare.
On YouTube, everyone watching, and especially who asked the question, I already kind of lost in the comments. But yeah, also check out Dmytro's video on design patterns. I think it will be super useful too. And hopefully
check
that's a good
the
answer
article.
to our final question. Yeah. So again, yeah, thanks
Awesome.
everyone. Thanks Dmytro for joining.
Yeah,
See you
thank
guys on the
you
next
for
one.
having me. It was great talk, I think. And hopefully see
Absolutely. Loved
you
it.
somewhere soon. Yeah.
Yep.
Have a nice day, week. Bye
You
bye.
too.